Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is MC Scott coming live at you from Northampton. If you're coming back for a second time, thanks for joining me again. If this is your first time, welcome to today's show. And today is another broadcast. Let's tell you the name of the show. Today's show is called Daily Nextdoor Local Live News, hosted by myself, Chuck, and MC Scott. Myself, MC Scott, and Chuck. Force of you. So yeah, so the idea is each day I go through my news feed from nextdoor.co.uk and essentially go through it from 1 minute past midnight that morning all the way through to 11 o'clock when I broadcast until for a maximum of an hour. So any longer, and it gets a bit silly with YouTube and things like that. So an hour is a sensible time for now. So from 11 till 12 daily, I'm expecting to give myself Tuesdays off. So that's a common catering industry standard, Mondays and Tuesdays off. So I think it could be Monday evening and Tuesday evenings off. So that could be the way. If you check out the schedule, you'll see. And I do hope to pin that regularly in the descriptions below. This is all brand new. Yesterday was such a rush because I was telling everyone, "Oh, I'm going live." And the next thing I know, it's like 11 o'clock, and it's like I should be live, and it's like got things going. But the desk area of the lab is now it's not in use for health and safety reasons. It's a hazard. So I've literally relocated to the cockpit of the lab, where I'm made myself very much at home now, and the desk area of the lab is out of bounds until I get a replacement chair. I went cheap and cheerful for a nice bold pink £35 mesh desk chair, right? Gaming chair. Right? Looks cool, looks really good, but certainly not built for my weight. And not that I'm particularly heavy anymore. I mean, I used to be overweight. I'm not now, but I'm not exactly proper skeletal either. But I'm like this chap from school once said, "There's never has been much meat on me." It's true, really. I've always been a bit of a beanpole. But anyway, we all grow up with ourselves, don't we? So it's all right. We all get used to who we are. It takes all sorts, doesn't it? So yeah, rather than going straight through the news feed like I plan to daily, and I did that last night. I went over the limit. I went over my personal limit of my personal allowance of an hour anyway. Hour and 20 minutes, something like that. At some point, I kept seeing what did I keep saying? Oh yeah, it kept telling me footage is like unstable, some connections unstable, and I was thinking, oh crumbs. Anyway, it was still recording, so I thought, there's going to be footage at the end of it, all. Whether it was working live all the time, I don't know. Connection seems okay now. Hopefully the audio is working okay. I've got this, and the cam's working all right. It should be following my face if I'm connected to the right camera. But anyway, it's working, so I'm not going to quibble. I should be using the face tracker camera, but I'm not sure anyway. But anyway, the point is, so yesterday was a bit of a rush start, and then I was sitting in a wonky chair, which was a bit of a death trap, so I didn't feel as though Chuck could actually come out to play. He gets on sleeping, and I did disturb him once, but I didn't harm him. Chuck wasn't harmed in the creation of any content last night. Fear not. He's not coming out to play tonight either. Because this is the first night broadcasting from the cockpit of the lab. So yes, here I am. But what is important, one good thing about this hopeful, daily channel for whatever we want to call it, this daily outreach of the local area in Northampton, and that's what this is, an initiative, an outreach initiative each day, increasing awareness of local news in this instance, by going through my news feed each day. But here's something that happened real life today by keeping abreast of Nextdoor and my newsfeed. And for a long time, I was getting Nextdoor emails and putting them in spam, putting them in spam, putting them in spam. And now, of course, I don't want them in spam. I'm actively taking interest in Nextdoor because it's a great platform. But I wanted to start participating in it. So I'm having to not spam, not spam, not spam. And as often as I do that, I'm still getting the occasional this is spam, but eventually that will iron out. So that's encouraging, knowing that that will eventually iron out. It's not happening quite as much, but all these emails that are getting put into spam are going to eventually end up straight in the inbox. Okay, that's good. But anyway, so in my newsfeed, in my inbox, I got a message saying help. Well, I thought, crumbs. Don't procrastinate, Scott. Let's check this out. I checked it out, and there's a cat, a putty cat comes in the black and white wee putty cat, yeah, and it's only young. And funny enough, guess what? I think I've seen it in our garden, and so I was like, I think I've seen the putty cat in our garden. And it's only a small putty cat. And I know this because it went, and I'm calling it a putty cat because it's a baby, really. It's young. If it's an adult cat, I'll be saying cat, male cat, female cat, whatever. I'm not sure what sex this cat is. It might be called Toby. But anyway, lovely looking cat, beautiful looking cat. And it's definitely young looking, right? So the young putty cat, I'm calling it a putty cat because of its cute age and it's a cute putty cat. So I thought, you know what? That is a young putty cat and it's in our garden and it's not being bold, it's being timid. It's looking around, exploring. Like you don't really know the area. And I thought that isn't the mature black and white cat that I see in the area regularly. That is bold enough to go on the wall, by the window, check out, have a look at, admire Bella in her beauty. Sitting asleep sometimes or looking at the black and white cat. Now, that's a black and white cat with confidence, it's mature, it knows its territory. However, this wee cat, I saw it and then I wanted to take a picture. By the time I got back, it's gone. Now, as far as I can tell, it did go in front of the cameras, overlooking right by the, they don't intrude on anyone. They're just where we are, at the back door in the garden, overlooking the back door. So I don't think the cat went. The putty cat went in that area. Okay, so I ruled that out. I think it went through the gap. There were wee slats in our communal fence, right? So I don't think the big cat would have got through there. And he knows the territory. He wouldn't have gone through there. He knows his way around over walls and what have you. So I suspect it really is the missing cat I saw. And so sure enough, I've got a camera by the window ready, a natural camera by the window ready. And hopefully I'll get a shot this time. I won't have to go and look for the camera. And but this is what I'm trying to demonstrate is that that's a good example of how potentially this channel, if viewers participate, it's all about participation. You can watch, by all means, just watch and enjoy content. Hopefully, I'll make it entertaining when Chuck gets involved. And but he's got a bit of an issue with his letter B's, you know. Yeah, he don't like the letter B's. But apart from that, he's quite content communicating well. It doesn't sound much like an orangutan because you think orangutans are pretty strong. Not as strong as gorillas, but they are strong orangutans. Stronger than humans. However, it sounds a bit gay. You know what I mean? By that, it sounds a bit weak. Not the gay men are weak. Fucking hell, that came out bad, didn't it? You know what I mean? It sounds a bit. You'll see when you hear him. He's all rough and tough looking. He can sound tough, but honestly, when he talks, you think, oh, what a soft thing. You know what I mean? But he is a gay fella. He's a very happy dude. When he's active, when he's not sleeping. Yay! I'm a gay dude because I'm a happy dude, but I'm not gay. I'm actually married. But no, fingers crossed, you'll get to know me as time goes on and you'll understand the way I present things and my style, if you like. And I live, everyone, it's every day's a school day. We all live and learn. Where are we? What time are we at? It's 11 o'clock. So this is when I will be going live. This is NC Scott coming live at you from Northampton in England, UK. Proud to be of the UK and patriotic. There's my lighter. Lovely. Pipe lighter. All I had fun and games for swapping the flints. Took me all day to get the flint sorted, but now I've got I don't know. So you got spare flint, a new flint in there finally. I lost honestly, fun and games that was. But that's the process of migrating, if you like, from the desk to the here. You know, I'm here now, settled. No, I'm not feeling quite honestly. Getting nervous. You know, but nothing to be afraid of, and that is a bit of a motto, especially since becoming right-handed. Since becoming, because I was 51 years a lefty, and then I became right-handed, and that's become transformative through the use of medical cannabis and by slowing down and changing hands from predominantly left to now right, because I am predominantly the right hand now on purpose. Has become transformative and changing my life, along with medical cannabis and cognitive behavioural therapy, which was provided for me by the NHS, and I'm most grateful for that. And the NHS will always play a big part in my recovery as a recovering alcoholic, which they say you always are, aren't you, recovering alcoholic? Fair enough, I'll accept that. So yeah, okay, I'm forevermore a recovering alcoholic. But no, I tell you what, I still enjoy drinking, just not alcohol. I love a good drink, and I think a lot of former alcoholics might even agree with this. That as an alcoholic, you might drink a drink and another drink and another drink of different types. So you might even mix a grape and a grain, which is a bit dark, but in moderation, you can kind of do that. But if you take to the extreme, grape and grain don't mix. You don't mix wine and beer. But if you're going to stick to spirits, you can chase spirits after. They can have like again, beer or ale or stout, and then chase it with a spirit. Can't you? You can have aperitifs before meals and after meals and coffee. You see what I mean? What I'm trying to say is, if you're a drinker and a former alcoholic or recovering alcoholic, you know all about drinking. So I'll have a glass of 7 Up on the go, Coke Zero on the go, out of the can, like it's kind of special. It's also nice to pour them into a glass, ice, umbrella, straw. I'm into the forever umbrellas now, recycled, last forever, clean them, sanitize them, it's metal, non-porous, safe, you know what I mean? Ever so good. So that's where I roll. Crystal likes her plastic straws, fair play to her. So that's the way she rolls. When she has straws, she has, at the moment, they're disposable paper jobs, but I'd like to source plastic, actually. I know that's offensive to some people. If that plastic's created and it's out there, I might as well, if I'm going to buy it, I'm going to buy it as cheap as I can and then recycle it sensibly. Okay. So, yeah, I know it's a bit of a sin, but essentially it's out there. I'm going to use it and consume it and then recycle it sensibly. So, yeah, plastic straws, I think, is the way forward. Especially if that plastic's sensibly sourced and is recyclable and the user recycles it, I can't see an issue with that. So that's what I'm doing. But I like the forever straws. That's the way I look at it. And of course, you can take them with you, can't you? So I've got a portable one, and I've got a home set, and it comes in like a fluorescent yellow container, bold as brass. So you don't miss that, do you? And then, so that's fun as well. I like colours now because for a period of time I was just all black. Pick a color, like Elon Musk and all them people that just pick out one outfit and all one color every day. Like who else might be like that? Grey, the Grey character from 50 Shades of Grey, right? Who else? A lot of people that have oh dear, very complicated lives will simplify their wardrobe. I went through a period of that, and everything was black. But guess what? Black fades, yeah, and then you get a mismatch, so it don't match. And anyway, I've grown out of that. And what I do now, I would go for bold. You know what I'm saying? Hence the bold pink chair in the desk area. Now, that was a mistake. I've got to get a sensible chair. And I'm thinking for the desk because I'm not using it again until I get a new chair for it. That's just health and safety, right? And why not? Why not use health and safety as a rule there? Because I'd end up breaking my neck, yeah. And I was even on the phone to a consultant who's going to do surgery on me soon, right? And I said to him, please bear with me when I get up out of the chair because it's death trap. It's broken. And I was like, I made it back into the phone in one piece. You know what I mean? It's like that. You can't carry on like that. It's just ridiculous. No point persevering. And guess what? At the end of it, at the end of that session of making the most of it, I'm going to persevere. Right? I'll persevere until I get a new chair. Right? I'll just chin it out, stoic. Yeah. And I thought, right, okay, I'm going to be stoic. I'm going to get through this. Ended of it, right? Went offline last night after going live, overgoing it by 20 minutes. Okay. Tonight's a bit off piece. It's different. We'll start tomorrow, right? There's no rules in what we're doing. We got forever, yeah. So if we've got forever, just take a bit of time. Live action coming at you from Northampton, NC Scott in Northampton live at you, representing local in Northampton, which is local outreach, care, and love in Northampton. Okay, that's what it's all about. So local in Northampton. It's a startup charity. Now, I do have a bit of breaking news, but I'm not going to tell you about it. I've got some breaking news. I'm not telling you a thing, all right? Not a thing about it, all right? I've got a famous person who I'll be doing online, not face to face. It will be Zoom face to face, yeah? Virtual interview that I won't be doing live. I don't think. I don't think it'll be live, but it will certainly be a really wonderful experience for me and Crystal, and hopefully you all to enjoy. Proper celebrity. Anyway, that's the future. I mean, this is what I'm saying. This is why I'm taking a bit of time out tonight to go a bit off piece and explain a bit. I'm going to have to try and squeeze a day's feed into my slot of an hour. And I've already thought of one way of doing it, and that's if during the day, because like I say, I'm keeping my eyes peeled on the feed and whatnot. And I thought if I like comments during the day as they appear, then when 11 o'clock comes, I can go through the feed, see what I've liked, and then interact with it. So live during the show, right? That's idea. So that's one idea, which will speed things along, chivvy things along. If a pattern emerges, say the same people advertising, I can have a little tally. So once I mention them, great, you know, and then keep things fair. So that, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to be mentioning, I don't want to be boring you guys, but at the same time, it's nice to represent local people doing local things in the local area, including local businesses. Local business is essential to economies. Recycling in our community is an important part of it. I mean, jobs, there's all sorts of aspects to recycling. Not just us putting things in recycling. Somebody's going to collect it. Somebody's going to do. Now, in our area, in Northampton, recycling is a part of it, and I don't disagree with it. Although it's a fact, the idea of recycling is pretty sound, I think. And if you're a part of the community, I think you've got a responsibility to try your best to adhere to it, with this community you're in. If you're not really making an effort to go with the grain, then what are you doing? You're just sticking your finger up to everyone else, aren't you? And if you're doing that, that's not really community spirited. At the very least, that's not very community spirited. Is it? So I think what I would like is for this charity to be genuine. It's got to have integrity. Just like me voluntarily managing it, and any proceeds that I hope YouTube, this channel will make on YouTube in the future, will all go to a local in Northampton, all of it, because I'm on welfare and I'm a carer, and Chris and I are now in civil partnership. So that's wonderful. And I rely on the NHS and my welfare for our well-being, to sustain us both. And welfare is there for people who need it. I'm a carer for Crystal. We're in now as a civil partnership. I don't want to affect that, but I do want to help people, and I can do that by being a volunteer manager of the charity. And any money generated can go to the charity. And to me, that's a nice way of doing things. So I've notified the Universal Credit, which is in the system that's who handles the claim now, isn't it? Universal Credit. It's not all since becoming a civil partner. I haven't got everything under grips. Guess what though? Amazing. I told you about. Yeah, I went offline last night, realizing that the internet was down. So my internet was down, and today trying to contact the council because there's a bit of thing, what with me now entering into civil partnership and me being of working age on disability, and Crystal now's retired, but we're in a civil partnership. So what happens is I am now the person who, not Crystal now, it's me who has to have benefits for rent and so on. They've got to be in my name. They're not in Crystal. They won't be in Crystal. They'll be in my name. So yeah, that's got to get sorted out. And we've got a visit from the housing officer. This is local news, So we've got such a thing as housing officers who's going to come and visit us at home. We might not get it finished that day, but certainly she has to come back again on that day. Everything should be pretty sorted. And that'll be a way out of my mind. And hopefully the rent will all get sorted, and that'll be a way out of my mind. Because I don't want to be in arrears. I can't be in arrears to get the changes that we need happening. Oh, it's one of them. It's a proper catch-22. But like anything, you just got to try your best. Try your best with a good attitude, or the best attitude you can. So all things will slot into place. And there's another little mantra: "Good will win over evil." It's only about very short, little short. I tried to upload to YouTube as a short. It didn't get accepted as a short, but it's a short for heaven's sake. Anyway, it says good will prevail over evil. Well, it will, ultimately. So let's all think positive, and that's why positive thinking is a good thing. All right. So we're covering things slowly but surely. So yeah, positive thinking is a good thing. That's what good thing about the putty cap. So let's hope by tomorrow, or when I next log into, because I'm not going to do that. When I next log into Nextdoor, I hope that putty cap's been found there. That would be great. And it might be called Toby, but it doesn't matter. That black and white putty cap, I'm sure is going to get back home. Yeah, it hasn't gone too far, has it? Because I think he or she's from around about here, so it makes sense for me to see it here. But isn't that amazing? At the start of me broadcasting, I'd like to think there's a wee difference in it. It's not big, but hey, it's got to start somewhere. Little projects I've got in mind, just for where I am. Absolute proper local level. This is right. Inspired by a friend. Right, check this out. A little mini library. That's a temperature. Little mini library, waterproof. Because it's a tiled area, a paved slab area that it will sit on. You don't need any foundations, nothing like that. Just as long as it don't blow away, and it's got a stable base, and it's weatherproof. And I'm not worried about theft or anything ridiculous like that. There's a limit to one's. You can't go wondering people are going to go and nick your books out of a blooming pub. You know, you've got to draw a line somewhere and live realistically. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, and you'll sit there, a little public, put your book in. You know what I'm talking about. They exist in telephone boxes in the UK, for heaven's sake. I mean, we can have in New Zealand, they have they're very popular, these sort of initiatives. Some of them look like bird boxes mounted to lampposts all around the city. So it's like a book bird box that you see. Speaking of birds, Crystal is registered with the Royal Society for the Protection of Birds. Bill oddly enough, massive shout out to Bill Oddie. Oddly enough, I'm the one that's going to be doing the bird watching, and I'm the one with the equipment for bird watch, and I'm the one that's going to be filling out the future surveys and stuff. But it's in Crystal's name. I pay for it. It's all good. I think I'm going to swap it over to my name because otherwise it's complicated, isn't it? I thought it was a good idea, but it's a bit complicated. Put it in my name, and then I think part of the idea is if I'm ever out with a pair of binoculars and I've got a bird watching card, I go, hey, no, I'm not out. What's it? Peeping Tom, and I'm actually bird watching. I'm looking forward to that. I mean, it's only a small wee window that I look out of, really, out of the back here, but there's two bird doobies, two bird feeding bits, right? And there's plenty of roofs, there's a tree, plenty. I can see plenty from the garden, and that's what it's all about, I think, these initiatives as well. RSP, Royal Society for Protection of Birds, you monitor your little area, and it's like a pocket of life, isn't it? So you are recording your little pocket of life. And it's all them other little pockets of life being recorded too. I think it's wonderful. I want to take part in that, so I am. But I think I'm going to change it to my name, Makes it simple. Sometimes the best of intentions don't, just got to be complicated things. So yeah, that's the plan there. I'll be the member of that after all. It's out of money, but I'm paying for it. You know what I'm saying? It's actually out of my account. So it's me paying for it. But I think civil partnership is all the same rights as marriage. And I said in the registry office, in the library, I said at the time, and you can get done for perjury. You've got to tell the truth, and these are officials. These people that you liaise with in these official offices, they're proper officials. If you lie to them, that's perjury. You could get nicked for that. And judges don't like perjury. They just make an example of you with perjury. But I was sat there and I said, oh, Chris, I will be referring to you as my wife, even though you are a civil partner, okay? You know what I mean? Because that's the way I regard it. But guess what? We're going to I said, I said I wouldn't go to America. Yeah, because I might not get let back out. But no, I think I'm keen to go to America with Crystal. We've got a first ambition, and that is to get to Venice, uh, because that's a proper like a honeymoon experience almost getting to Venice by good train. Yeah, so it's getting to Venice, eating well, and in comfort, and staying and living in comfort on the journey to Venice. And I think that'd be absolutely wonderful. That's our first goal. But to do that, we're going to get someone to get to us as passport. And then that'll be wonderful on it. So here's a plan. Change your name to CHR to the spelling. That's a long story. That she likes, right? Get that official. Change everything official. That's about 36 quid default. I've done that. I've changed my name to my one. So now I'm Scott, and I NC Scott. But I was a former name, and those who remember me by that name will. I would have been an alcoholic back then, although I was dry coming up 5 years, 5 years dry, absolutely 5 years solid dry. which is great. Yeah, no going back after that. You know what I mean? I mean, I was solid after a year, I think. But you've after 3 years, I think you can say, okay, no, I respect that. 3 years, that's sound. 5 years, good landmark. I'm not going back. Not to drinking. No, I've got other vices that I enjoy that may not be ultimately particularly wonderfully healthy, but certainly won't kill me like alcohol. Long, drawn out, slow death. Don't need that, do we? No, thank you. So I am MC Scott, and I have a bit of flour here, which I'm going to consume. Um, Essentially, it's part of my journey. Can I just explain something? I'm hoping that my doctor from the clinic in will hopefully watch a broadcast of mine. But essentially, I said to him in one of our face-to-face Zoom kind of meetings, periodic review, if you like, of how are things going, how are you getting on with the meds, how are you yourself, how are things, how's your journey through the medical cannabis world going, how are you doing? And I've got to admit, right, because I'm a very, as blokes go, I'm quite open, but I felt I was perhaps a bit closed with this chap. But then the last interface we had, I felt, I thought, you know what, I'm missing out. If I'm being a bit of a knob by, if I'm putting up a barrier between him and I, sort of putting an obstacle in the way of him helping me for whatever reason. I probably understand why, but I'm not going to sit here and explain it. I'll get right. I can get right to the bottom of it, but now's not the time for that. Tell you what it is the time for, to recognise that suddenly I thought I've actually got to make a. I can't just sit and expect things to come to you. You've got to make it's a two-part process. It's a two-way process. So I've got to input to get good output, and I put in a positive effort to engage with my head doctor, if you like, for want of a better word, head doctor, medical cannabis specialist, doctor of his field, absolute top of the line, knows his stuff. So when he qualified as a head doctor, no disrespect, doctor, when you qualified for a head doctor, you were at that particular, when you qualified, you were at that year, at that moment, at that particular time, the world's cutting edge, leading expert in the field of that. You know what I'm saying? So once you became a PhD of that subject at that particular time, you were the cutting edge of that field. I had the pleasure of properly engaging with this gentleman. And unfortunately, I've got a terrible, anyone who knows me will know that I unfortunately have a terrible recollection of names. But I could put a link in the description for you. Anyway. Hopefully at some point in the future, because I will talk about this chap again, because I'm hoping, anyway, he'll be proud of me when I say that for me, medical cannabis is actually something that doesn't make me sit and do nothing. On the contrary, and I believe in regular THC breaks, partly because I can't afford to be I can't afford to be medicated on cannabis all the time, but also because there's such a thing as having a THC break, and I feel that it's actually quite a healthy thing to have and have every now and again. There's a complete abstinence from medical cannabis. Okay? And other proponents of cannabis in different countries where you don't have to worry about the UK medical aspect, people will talk about cannabis and say, it can be a good thing for them. They're not wasting their life by using that product. They're actually being more productive in society and their community. I find that, you see. So rather than being inclusive, I'm now being a bit more outward looking, rather than a bit inward. Rather than being more almost fully inward looking, I'm now looking forward to looking at them. And that can only be a good thing. And let me assure you, that is more down to medical cannabis than it is NHS medicine. Not that I'm disputing it, not that I'm disparaging NHS medicine, But I think you kind of get what I'm saying, and I'm hoping that the medical head doctor will understand. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is I don't waste my life by using medical cannabis. I can't afford to waste life. You know what I mean? I've got things to do. I've got responsibility. I've got, and I'd like to make a go of this charity. So that's almost so it's like work, but play, but it's wonderful. Being a charity manager is fantastic because I've got a lot of well, a lot. I've got a good experience of managing and being deputy manager of charity outlets. So uh, to run my own charity, I think in a voluntary capacity from mainly based at home, fantastic, wonderful. And in the future, volunteers that are able and willing, you know, can perhaps contribute by doing helping deliver outreach initiatives to people in need. So here's a good example today. Someone needed some single bedding, and I noticed that in my inbox. Someone needed some single bedding, and I thought, you know what? Local in Northampton didn't have any single bedding. I don't have any single bedding personally spare because even though CHR and I share a double size bed, we use king, so like the super king size duvets, yeah. Because I'm 6'3", Crystal's 6'4" when she stands tall. We're both big units, so tall units. So Crystal's big bone than me. So big king. So anyway, point is, we don't have any single bedding, and I thought, you know what? I'll put a big shout out to everyone. Local in Northampton doesn't currently have any of this kind of stock in. Okay, fair enough, we don't, but we've got nowhere to store it. I need a storage facility, safe, secure, in safe and secure. It's not too big. They can have low stock, high turnover of things that are crucial or most in need. So I can determine what's most in need, store it on a low stock, high turnover basis. Okay. Hopefully from volunteer, hopefully from donation that can then be stowed away, catalogued, and then dispensed locally if needed. And you never know, someone might say, I tell you what. Well, you know what would be really cool is an electric vehicle. For now, I've got Void. So Void is something I can use personally. I'm well into the idea of Void now. Using Void for small items, so I can do that, can't I? On Void. I'd expect to be reimbursed, and I would be reimbursed by the charity for travel costs. Okay, on that kind of activity, absolutely 100%. Any volunteer in the future that volunteer for local in Northampton will have travel costs reimbursed. They volunteer for local in Northampton will always expect to operate safely and in warm and fed. So any volunteer on duty, I would expect to operate well fed and feeling safe so that they can extend care and love from the safest, most secure vantage point, so they can express themselves freely. And if that means someone might think, you know what, I'm only little, I'm going to be going somewhere a bit less, but I want to help someone out because I know someone's sleep can work. And I know that this sleep bag will prove really handy tonight if I can't talk them into getting, if they're going to be adamant and stay on the street, I want them help. That person may say, I tell you what, I want to help this person, but I'm feeling a bit vulnerable. There's no one available. I don't know anyone who is able to help me. Any chance of a strobe flashlight to help me out? Have you got one I could borrow? And yeah, here's a strobe flashlight. Just keep it on your kit. Nice bit of kit, everyday carry. You see, everyday carry. That's what it's all about. So it could be anything from a high vis vest to tabard, high vis tabard, safety equipment, PPE. But yeah, so storage shed, an electric. I mean, this is all. Uh, it's like a foundation, isn't it? I can use void, but wouldn't it be cool to have an electric trike, cargo trike? Yeah, I can't keep that in the flat, but it could be stored in the communal garden, in a communal shed where there's a bit of storage facility. That bike can then be used to transport stuff. It can have a sticker. It will have this local in Northampton logo on there. There's lots of potential, but some things do require bigger outlays. But you've got to, we're in the startup phase at the moment, and it's early days. And you can't build right in the time. And it's Dennis that Chris and Mark would like to say. But I digress now. I like talking. Now here's the secret. So here's the secret. Yeah. So what's going to happen is, we've got to get the passport. I've got to get a new passport. That's all money. Change of name to CHR. Right. Change your name to CHR. Get to London. Get her a passport. I need a passport update. Then, that's a day trip to London. That's going to be an overnight job to avoid stress as cheaply and as economically as possible, right? So that's cool. A bit of a jaunt, bit of a jolly. Turn it into overnight. Get to the embassy, sort it out. Back in Northampton. Happy days, right? Then, Dennis, that is a big objective, right? Then after that, wouldn't it be cool if CHR and I ended up in Las Vegas and got married like proper now? And then we can come back to the UK and say, okay, now we're married. That'd be cool. That'd be a jolly. CHR and I both ratified that. So that's a yes. Okay, half an hour. Let's wrap that up. See if this will come online any quicker than what last night's about. It might not even be up yet. Anyway, I'm ending stream. Okay, I've got a graphic for this, but please, bish, bash, and bosh this stream, please, and then you'll hear about future live events. 11 o'clock next one tomorrow. Catch up on Nextdoor stream, my feed. Okay, going to get refined at this. We'll get it polished. Yeah, we'll get it polished. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me. If it's your first time, wonderful. If it's your second time, hope you've learned a little bit more. Goodbye from me. Bye bye.